Welcome, everyone, to Money Talks for Women. I'm so delighted that you're here today. My special guest is in the financial arena as well. We're here to empower women. And I'm so excited because I have a special guest. Leah Hadley is a certified divorce analyst, financial analyst. She's also an accredited financial counselor and the founder and CEO of Intentional Divorce Solutions. And I'm sure that most of her clients are women, as are mine. And so we're like two peas in a pod. That's what I told her. I'm absolutely delighted to introduce to you someone who professionally helps women through divorce to absolutely change the pathway and make it a pathway toward empowerment. I'd love to welcome Leah Hadley. Hi, Leah.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Lynn.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. You know, you and I think alike. We probably have the same financial speak alike. We help women. I'm here to help educate women, but you are in the trenches. You are helping women with their portfolios and really to truly, you're licensed in all the ways to actually manage money and also to do a financial plan and all of the things that it is required, especially when women go through these horrible times like divorce and other, emotionally stressful times, perhaps the loss of a loved one, right?
Correct.
And that is your specialty. So I want everyone to know that Leah is here and has been helping women around the world for years in an area of real weakness, turning that into strength. And this is what I love about Leah. So we're going to dive deep today, and I'm going to really ask. Now, both of us have been in the financial world for many years, and yet you came in with like a different entrance way. Tell us a little bit about how you came to do this work, Leah.
I sure did. I hold a master's degree in education. My bachelor's degree is in sociology, and I was teaching for Baltimore City public schools and got burnt out in the classroom very quickly and knew nothing about finance, Lynn. I took an administrative assistant job. It was just a temp job for an investment bank based in Baltimore. And I remember my very first day, and I tell clients this all the time, my very first day, I felt like everybody around me was speaking a foreign language.
Yeah.
When I walked into that building, I literally did not know what people were talking about. I had never taken an accounting class. I had never taken a finance class. It was a whole new vocabulary. Now, I was very fortunate that I got hired on in that investment bank pretty quickly, and it was for the equity research department. So this was dating myself a little bit back when the equity research reports were put out manually, and we were working with software developers in order to automate that system.
I remember those days.
Yeah. So I was
Pre-computer.
right. I was the go-between the equity research department and the software developers, but I didn't know anything about equity research. I didn't know what equity research was. So for those who are listening who probably don't know what equity research is, we were researching stocks in that department, and we were publishing reports on stocks for institutional investors.
Right.
But none of that was something that was familiar to me at that time. And the reason I share that experience with people is I know that a lot of times when you're learning about your own finances for the first time, especially when you're going through a big life transition, it can feel very overwhelming, just the language alone that we're using, because it can be so unfamiliar.
It is. It's so much like a foreign language. And I believe that, don't you agree, most women, I have to say, men too, but entirely I believe where do we learn this language? It's not taught in school. It's the school of hard knocks. And when it comes to the school of hard knocks, you, I think, have something to really say on how to make this complex language simpler. Could you talk just a little bit about actually what you do now for women and what you really find your role, what you love to do most, like most of your day? What are you spending most of your day doing?
So I get really deep in the trenches on financial planning, which I absolutely love because one of the things that financial planning does for people, and a lot of times people really don't have any concept of what financial planning is,
Hmm.
and they may think of a financial plan as sort of a document that's a static document that gives you guidance on what to do with your money. But financial planning is really an ongoing process where we're problem solving. We're looking at what's going on financially and what are the opportunities to optimize the finances? What has changed in the tax code and how is that going to impact finances? It's really a very dynamic process. And that's something that I'm involved with on a daily basis, really helping people to understand what their current situation is, really getting clear on what their goals are, and how are we going to get you from here to there in the most efficient way possible.
And navigating tough waters. You
Right.
mentioned tax changes. I know there might be some pretty big ones coming up in after the election year. So it's going to be an interesting time. So navigating, like you mentioned, going from here to there takes a solid plan, but it also takes a really skilled advisor along the way. And that's what I love about not only what you do, but how you do it. Could we talk just a little bit about all of these credentials that you have at the end of your name? You know, all of
Sure.
the, just like a doctor has so many, these credentials, and it can be confusing to everyone. Could you talk just a little bit about those credentials and maybe clarify a little bit?
Sure, absolutely. So, my main credential that I hold is a Certified Divorce Financial Analyst. That means that I am certified through the Institute for Divorce Financial Analysts. CDFA for short is what we refer to Certified Divorce Financial Analyst as. And that means that I'm really well educated, well versed in the financial complexities of the divorce process itself. So,
Wow.
really understanding how to work with attorneys, how to work with clients who are going through that divorce process. What are not only the short term implications of the decisions that they're making, but also the long term implications of the decisions that they're making? Understanding the tax implications of each division of assets, all of those kinds of things that go along with the divorce process. Another credential that I hold is an accredited financial counselor. So when I started doing the divorce work, one of the things that I found was a lot of people really struggle with their relationship with money. And when
Yeah.
people are going through the divorce itself, it can be very triggering for a lot of the issues that arise in terms of people's relationship with money. And so I really liked getting that credential because it really helps me to understand how different people relate to money and how I can really support them on that journey and understanding it for themselves, but also reframing so they can be more empowered throughout that process.
I love that. When you go from misery and unhappiness and really panic to empowerment, that that transition, as you're mentioning, is worth. It could be worth 10 million. I don't even think you can't put a price tag on,
Right,
getting navigating that and coming out the other side, feeling like you're on top of it. Uh,
right.
this is huge for women. I have, in my professional background, as you know, um, I had 35 years myself in the investment advisory world. Most of the clients looking back that I had that which were women always came with their husbands. They didn't say very much. They're usually reticent to say much or to even offer their point of view. And by the time then, with when things went wrong, and of course not I'm not talking about divorce being a result a lot, in all of the cases, but in some of the cases, uh, women were left bereft, uneducated, panicked, and with no idea what to do or a clue to who to talk to. I'm wondering, when you first receive a client who's feeling that way, as if they've never really had control of a checkbook. They don't really know what where to start and how to start. It sounds as if you really kind of start hand holding. Am I right?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely from the start of the process. And we start working with clients at all different stages of the process. Sometimes people will come to us literally a year or 2 years in advance of filing for a divorce because they know they're headed in that direction. And there's a
Mm,
lot of fear around money. And there's a
yes.
lot that we can do to plan so that it doesn't have to be so scary and such a scary process. Sometimes people come to us well into the divorce process. They may be very overwhelmed with their financials, making some tough decisions about various assets. Or sometimes people come to us after the fact where they're struggling with their new financial reality. And so we can help them to really understand how to budget well, how to invest their assets so they're optimized. Maybe they need to bump up their income and we need to reposition assets in order to increase that income. And so, yeah, we really do meet people where they're at in order to help them really feel like they're not so alone and step through the process with them.
I love that. What I heard you say is that you actually can work with a client in advance of a divorce, really to help them prepare financially for what's to come. Am I
Mhm.
right?
Absolutely.
And then I also heard you say that in the process of working with a client, which I love, you are willing and ready and licensed and very, very skilled at working with their other team, like CPAs and attorneys. Now, that alone is stressful for a woman.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about how you are ready to, step in as a real team member?
Absolutely. Sometimes we're actually hired by the attorney, and sometimes we're hired by the client directly. It kind of varies based on the case. But we can be that go between. We can really help communicate your financial needs to your attorney, especially if you're having a hard time doing that or you're finding there's a lot of miscommunication.
Yes.
There's a lot of opportunity for us to really illustrate and demonstrate what financial recommendations that we're making and why they matter, why they're important. So we work very, very closely with the whole team. Absolutely. Certainly, we want to be very clear on any tax implications associated with the division of assets, and bringing a CPA in is also can be an important part of that.
I can't, it's so wonderful because can you imagine? It's stressful enough. And then
Yeah.
having somebody to be able to be uh, on on your side to really speak perhaps to these other professionals in a way that is in, on your side, on your behalf, and in a professional way so that you're getting the outcome that's positive for you as a
Right.
woman. That's got to be very, very valuable. And then what about other distressful times, maybe not necessarily divorce, Leah, but other things? What other kinds of traumas, maybe loss of a loved one or
Yeah. So we're actually doing a series right now on inheriting wealth and avoiding some of the common mistakes that people make. But that's a big one. We've been working with a lot of folks recently, in particular, on, they've lost a loved one, they've inherited wealth, they need to figure out what to do with it.
Mhm.
And there's so much emotion tied into that, right? You're grieving the loved one that you lost. You're trying to figure out what does this mean financially. And unfortunately, for some women, who have lost a spouse, this may be the first time again that they're learning about their financial situation.
Yeah, like
Um,
where's what's
right,
where?
right,
Many women don't even know where to look
exactly,
for the paperwork.
right, right.
That's
And so,
stressful.
yeah, stepping through that with them, so they're not alone. They're not trying to figure it all out for themselves, but they have a partner in that.
And we haven't even talked about the investments themselves and how to navigate the lack of confidence that I discovered that most women have when you have a discussion about what are we investing in to get you from point A to point B. And I know that you're a believer, as I am, in education, and so there's a real need, I think, don't you, for women to educate themselves and be a part of a winning team.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I commonly find is that when people are coming out of these crisis situations, that they are often feeling very nervous about their investments,
Yeah.
especially if it's something that's unfamiliar to them. And so when we do the risk tolerance to determine the appropriate investment objective, they're very commonly coming back very conservative, maybe more conservative than they need to be. But what we do is we talk about that, and we talk about why are we getting these results? How comfortable really are you with volatility? And if you're not that comfortable right now, maybe we start conservative. And then over time, as you become a more educated investor, and we see this all the time where women 2, 3, 10 years past their divorce are ready to step up and really focus more on growing their assets.
Right.
But oftentimes that time right after that difficult period, it's just not the right time. And it's okay to be more conservative during that time.
I love that. You and I could probably talk forever on those topics. It's like music to my ears while let's listen to some more to that good financial speak. I really love that. But let's talk about for a minute, what are some of the common financial mistakes that you can help your clients avoid when going through, let's go back to a divorce, for example, or maybe not only a divorce. Let's talk in general about
Yeah.
what are some of the common financial mistakes as women that you see, first of all, and that, of course, I know that you can help with.
So, one of the most common financial mistakes that I see people making outside of the divorce, but then when somebody goes through a divorce, it's really exacerbated, is getting into a house that they really can't afford. A lot of
Oh,
times people
interesting.
get into a house based on what the bank says that they will loan. Rather than really looking at their overall financial plan and determining from a cash flow perspective what they can actually afford. And then what happens when people are going through a divorce is, as a couple, they're already in a home that maybe they were struggling to afford as a couple. And now one of the parties really wants to be able to stay in that home. And that can really have a dramatic long-term impact on your financial situation if your fixed expenses continue to be very high and you really can't afford them. And so one of the things that I illustrate and often answer the question for people is, can I afford to stay in the house? Is this something that is affordable for me? And not just looking at things like the mortgage, although we're in a very tricky mortgage situation.
Right.
Oftentimes people have these mortgages that are 2.5, 3, 3.5% right now. And if they have to refinance, we're looking at significantly higher rates for them to
Right.
refinance at. But it's not just looking at the mortgage, it's looking at the cost to maintain the home, the work that it takes to maintain the home. A lot of times one of the partners has taken on certain responsibilities that the other partner isn't necessarily going to take on, but rather have to pay somebody in order to do these things, right?
Right.
So looking at that overall cost of maintaining the home. But like I said, it's not just in divorce circumstances. A lot of young families get into homes that are very difficult for them to afford, very difficult to keep up with the maintenance. And so I had a young couple, I felt so bad for them, but they got into a situation where they were building a home and they ended up having to take on so much additional debt that once they got into the home, they were just weighed down with all of this debt and struggling to keep up with their bills, right?
Yeah.
And so this is something that people need to take a closer look at, what they really can and can't afford, from an overall financial planning perspective, not just looking at what the bank is willing to lend.
Perfectly said. That's really beautiful. And when you take a look at the larger perspective of where we are now with the higher interest rates, these considerations can cost a lot more, a lot longer. And
Absolutely.
right? So yeah, that's really good counseling. And also, I want to just ask you if you have any insight into, well, how do you see the state of the economy right now? And if you want to, maybe we can close with a few words on what you're seeing ahead, and just let us know your thoughts here.
Yeah. The thing that I've been talking with clients most about is that volatility is a normal part of investing. We expect the market to go down every year, multiple times a year. And on average, the market does end up. Not every year, but on average, it ends up. And so when we look at historical averages, especially in an election year, it's normal to see more volatility. The
Yep.
market doesn't know what to expect. There's going to be a lot of headline risk, a lot of short-term risk. But whenever we look at these risks, we also see opportunities. And so, really looking at the volatility that we're seeing in the marketplace as an opportunity to potentially put more money to work, to rebalance your portfolio, to look at where is the opportunity for me specifically based on my unique financial situation. It's going to be different for everybody, but that's what we're seeing. We're seeing volatility in the market, and we know that that is a completely normal part of investing, and that we want to be prepared with a plan and how to handle that.
That's wonderful. And it also helps to take the emotion out of investing.
Right.
And it also helps to have someone significantly empowered like you are, Leah, to really be a team leader and a helpmate, and really to take the time to take the interest to help, especially women, to understand that volatility, we can live through it. You know, the sky is not falling. In fact, there's really amazing opportunities that can come if you have someone substantially trustworthy who can really see what the opportunities are and be ready for a client. So I just want to thank you so much, Leah, not only for the expertise that you bring, but also for your ability to create trust and a partnership with women who need that more than ever, especially during times of stress. And even those times when we're not going through stress, but we're going through financial wellness, let us all do what we need to do to take responsibility, to take the reins for ourselves, ladies, to take responsibility, because even though you might hire someone to be on your side like Leah, it still comes back to you. It is your decision to manage your money well and have the life that you deserve. And so I'm just so excited because someone of your caliber, so that we can help women really create and craft the hope and the possibility that they too can have a life that they love and build wealth over time. That's my passion. So I'm so happy that we've had a chance to chat here today. Is there anything that you would like to leave our audience with, Leah? Maybe how to get in touch with you, and what would that look like?
Absolutely. So I'm active on LinkedIn. So please find me on LinkedIn, Leah A. Hadley. Join me there. I post lots of educational content, lots of free workshops that we have going on, and I'd love for you to be a part of my community. And Lynn, I just so appreciate the opportunity to collaborate with you. You're doing such amazing work, and it really is my honor to be here.
It is my honor too. And let me just say how we met. We should put a nice, plug in for the Advanced Innovation Society. Leah and I met by means of a wonderful referral business development society. Really, it's a social society, but it's also a business society where professionals like Leah and I can come together, and we can have opportunities to share visibility. I know that it's important to not only get our messages out in front of more and more people and help others to do the same. It's exciting, and I really love the advance. And so, don't you feel the same?
Oh, absolutely. I have met so many incredible people, and it has been such a joy to get to know them, and to have opportunities like this to really collaborate with other individuals.
And you're in Ohio. I'm in Florida. This is a nationwide organization, and now international. So it's growing, growing, growing. And we invite you to take a look. I'll put the link in the chat as well for the Advanced Innovative Society and for Leah Hadley. And I'm just inviting all of you to take advantage of the opportunity to speak with Leah and see what she can do to help you with your long-term financial plans. You'll be happy you did. So with that, thank you everyone for coming to be with us, and we'll see you next time on Money Talks for Women. Bye-bye for now.